Dreamscape presents A Voyage Across an Ancient Ocean, a bicycle journey through the northern dominion of oil by David Goodrich, narrated by George Newbern. For Conchetta, who is always at the end of my roads. Prologue. Cowboys and Indians. There was something dreamlike about it. For a week in April 2014, against the background of the Capitol, I saw tipis rise on the National Mall. At the end of the week, a group of ranchers in cowboy hats and Native Americans, some in full headdress, rode out on horseback onto the streets of Washington, D.C. to the sound of a steady beat of drums. Beadwork, ceremonial lances, University of Nebraska vests, and plaid shirts were all in evidence. The riders led a procession of thousands to the National Museum of the American Indian to present a painted tipi as a gift to President Obama. I was tagging along for the birth of a new CIA. They called themselves the Cowboy-Indian Alliance. What brought them to the nation's capital was an issue that had roiled the nation for years and was destined to be an issue for years to come: the Keystone XL pipeline. For people concerned about climate, Keystone represented opening the drain to a vast reservoir of carbon in the earth, the oil sands of Alberta. The oil sands are the third largest oil reserve in the world, after Venezuela and Saudi Arabia, and arguably the one that requires the most energy to produce. The purpose of this pipeline is to transport bitumen, heavy oil, from the oil sands south to refineries on the U.S. Gulf Coast. The carbon from this reservoir would inevitably be burned to form carbon dioxide, the dominant greenhouse gas, which would remain in the atmosphere for hundreds of years. The riders from the West cared less about the climate implications of Keystone and more about its direct effects on the land, their land. The pipeline would stretch from Canada at the terminal town of Hardisty, Alberta, through Saskatchewan and the states of Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska. The Canadian company TC Energy, formerly TransCanada, would acquire access to the land through the process of eminent domain. More than the disruption of pipeline construction, the Westerners on the mall were concerned about spills of bitumen. A 1 million-barrel bitumen spill from an oil sands pipeline into Michigan's Kalamazoo River in 2010 required 5 years of cleanup and 6 years to reach a financial settlement with the pipeline company. The proposed Keystone route goes across the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?